Hi everyone, this is Lisa Marie from Art History by Lisa Marie. Welcome to the studio. Today I am destroying a mandala. Okay, last time I worked on the mandala ring around the dancer. This time I want to focus on that mandala dress on the dancer. And I'm going to discuss how I came up with the color palette and how I'm going to totally destroy this design, but hopefully in a good way. Real quick, remember you can download and color this page in the video description so you can color along with me. And if you want to watch me color the other parts of this page, those links are in the video description as well. Okay, now let's talk about the color palette. I started by thinking about warm and cool colors, so the background is full of cool colors, blue, green, purple. What are warm and cool colors? Cool or cold colors are hues that give the feeling of coolness. Yeah, I know, super complicated definition there. Warm colors, on the other hand, are hues that give the feeling of warmth, such as red, orange, and yellow. So when planning the mandala color palette, I started with the cool colors that were already in the background. I knew I needed a pop of warmth, but that it couldn't be just any warm color. It had to be one that blended well with blue, and you'll see why in a little bit. But orange doesn't blend well with blue always. They often turn into a muddy brown together. Yellow wasn't strong enough visually to hold its own against all those other cool colors. So I needed to go with red. Red is a strong, warm hue. Once the design was colored in with markers, it's time to destroy it with pencils. So basically, the idea is to pretend the design is not there. Or maybe think of it as just plain paper. Either way, just start coloring over it with pencils. I start with the dark blue and block in shadows in the dress. That includes ripples in the skirt. Remember how I said I needed colors that blend well with blue? This is where that comes into play. So I'm using all blue pencils. I started by getting the dark blue, medium blue, and light blue, then expanded the palette with a few more blue shades. And I will list all the colors in the video description for you to reference as well. So I'm coloring over this design, blocking out shadows, and turning this into a more three-dimensional looking dress. Mandalas are super fun, but they can look a bit flat. I like to find ways to make them have a bit of depth. Before I talk about how I'm going to layer these pencils, if you are loving this coloring video, please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next video where I will probably destroy some other coloring page and hopefully in a good way. Okay, so I block out the shadows with the dark blue. Add a medium blue to fill in the shadow areas a little bit, then whip out a lighter blue to complete the sense of roundness. This first layer of colors is just mapping out where the shadows are. Now I can add more layers of color, going back to that dark blue, putting down more color to make a dark, rich shadow, adding more layers of each color to fill in the tooth of the paper, which will make the overall coloring look way smoother, completely ignoring that mandala design I just colored. This might be a good time to talk about paper. Okay, I beat the heck out of this paper. From the water-based ink in the background, all the markers and the mandalas, and now pencils. I'm asking a lot of the paper. So I printed this image on a heavier paper called Nina Vellum Bristol cardstock. And yes, I'll put the link to that in the video description if you want to get some. But this paper is a bit sturdier and has some nice tooth or texture, so it can hold all the different mediums that I'm using. Now you can see how I layered all those colors over and over again, and finally I use white. I will use white to get the extra bright highlights. The dramatic dark blue and bright white help keep a strong look of contrast to really help the material pop off the page visually. And now that mandala looks like a fabric design on a three-dimensional outfit. And there's the white. Ba-bam! Bright highlight. I love it. So I totally ruined the original mandala design. But it turned into something really different and fun, and I really enjoyed coloring it that way. And I know the focus of the video is the dress that I just talked about, but I'm going to quickly color in those shoes with some of the same blue that I used in the dress. And then I'm going to start working on that skin tone a little bit. But I'll tie it back to the dress, I promise. And if you're wondering why I do voiceovers for so many of my videos, it's because I do lots of my coloring at night while my kiddos are asleep, and I can't risk talking and waking them up. So if you are enjoying my late night coloring shenanigans, feel free to hit that like button and leave a comment. Okay, back to the skin tone. So how is it like the dress I just colored? I start by blocking in the shadows with the darker colored pencil for the skin tone color palette. And yes, I planned my palette with the dark, medium, and light hues first, then expand it with some extra skin tone colors. So just like the dress, when coloring something grayscale or when you want something to look three-dimensional, a good place to start is by thinking 1, 2, 3. One dark color, one medium color, and one light color. And just like the dress, after blocking in the shadows and building them out with the medium hue, I go back to layering colors. This fills in the tooth of the paper, makes the skin tone look smooth, and gives me some nice rich coloring. A slight difference with the skin tone is that I don't stick with just shades of a particular hue. For the dress, it was all blue. For the skin tone, it's not just brown. I add touches of red and give her some rosy accents of color. Otherwise, she would look really pale and bland. I use the lighter colored pencil to blend all the colors together, just like I did in the dress. Then I'm going to pull out the white pencil to get some really bright highlights to provide contrast to the darker shadows. Again, just like the dress. Contrast really helps the image pop. There's the white pencil, so I get the nice brighter contrast against the darker shadows in her skin tone. And I'll keep layering and adding because I really want some nice, rich, rosy, and darker areas to her skin as well. Then I'll quickly color in her hair before I'm done for the day. Thank you so much for joining me in the studio. Remember to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next video, and stay creative.